What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the driveway, and we're going to bring back in the old second gen. All right, so you guys seen the title of the video. What does it take to make a 450 400 horse 12 valve truck? Now my truck, I have never dynoed this truck, but with the setup I currently have, fueling and turbo, and well, we're not going to worry about the transmission right now, but all that combined, we should be in that 450 to 500 horse range easily. Even with some more timing, we could probably push that number that much more. We have enough air to support 600, quote unquote. Would I trust 600 on a S300 that's this small? Probably not, but at the end of the day, this truck is probably in that neighborhood. Again, not dynoed, but just kind of more or less butt dyno. All right, so let's get started with mods that most guys can do fairly cheap, and in all honesty, they give you the most pickup without really doing any sort of hardcore work. And aside from just the basic AFC mods, we're talking delivery valves. So I've got 7mm delivery valves. These are probably too hot to daily drive to a certain degree. I've ran 191s, and in honesty, I probably should be in about a 025 or something to that measure. Now you can get those relatively cheap. My boys over at Diesel Auto Power, that's right, they always have specials on fueling, and they just put out a great product. I've run their delivery valves twice or three times over and never had a problem with them. Those are probably your quickest way, in my opinion, to take advantage of a smaller injector but get more duration out of that injector and get more power. Lift pumps. So I mean, there's a lot on the market. You know, you got Fuel Lab, you've got Air Dog, you've got Fast, or there's just the standard mechanical lift pumps. They are the cheapest that you can go with, and depending on which one you decide to purchase, they have the fuel bowl heater delete, the bowl heater delete, and you just pretty much have the lift pump. For me, I run the power driven hot rod lift pump. It's rated at 600 to 650 horse, and really haven't had any problem with it. It deleted the fuel bowl heater, obviously, and let me go and show you guys. All right, if you guys can see that right there, the whole system's been changed over to 3/8 size line. It gets rid of the factory fuel line as well, and for me, it works out fairly well. I haven't had a problem with it. It puts out a good amount of fuel, and with the added adjustable overflow valve right there, roughly I'm right around 30 psi fuel pressure supplied pretty much all the time. Now again, for you Fast or Air Dog or Fuel Lab guys, obviously you're not going to be running an adjustable overflow valve. You're going to be running pretty much a preset determined 45 psi overflow valve, because again, that's kind of where you want to regulate it. Now you can go to a race style, which does push it up a little bit more, but again, that is strictly your choice. And yeah, so we'll move on to the next step here. Now, as far as fueling, aside from delivery valves, injectors, to get to our ideal desired 500 450 range horse, these are 5x16s. Now, other people in my videos that I posted earlier this week, you know, kind of thought that I told them 5x16s were needed. No, 5x16s are not needed to get to that number. You can get away with a 5x12, 5x14 easily and create roughly about 450 to 500 horse with the right air. I can't stress that enough. A lot of this comes back down to the air side. But yes, if you're going to run 5x16s like me, pretty much assume, depending on where your timing's at and the rest of your air system, you're going to be pretty much pushing some high EGTs through a very small exhaust housing. Now, a lot of times guys will say, well, can I take the HX35 and make good power with it? Now, if you look at from this truck standpoint of things, did I make more or less power with the HX35 than swapping over to an S362? Did I make a huge abundance of power? I look at track numbers. So at the track, I picked up my best time with this particular charger by roughly about 2 to 3 tenths. Now what does that equate to horsepower wise? Well, I mean, if you look at it from how much airflow we're getting out of it and what have you, we probably did pick up, I would say, in the neighborhood of 60 to maybe 100 horse. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it is enough to give you some sort of good numbers. Now, let me go ahead and give you guys an example. So again, this is my S300 here, or my S362 68 with a 12 centimeter housing. Now, this right here at this current moment is wastegated just how it normally is supposed to be. There are no additional hookups to it. I have adjustable boost elbow on there, but that was again from the guys over at Diesel Auto Power, and it is kicked all the way out. That setup right there regulates my current boost pressure to roughly about 50, maybe 52 psi of boost. Now again, in a normal application, if you're running a 5x10 or something to that size injector, you're going to have to really push it hard in order to get the drive pressure which you would like to see in order to get those kind of boost numbers out of that turbo. With more fueling, more drive pressure, more boost, obviously. So with these trucks, they don't really flow that great as far as the head goes, so obviously boost is just a measure of restriction, and it doesn't take a whole lot to get a lot of boost out of these trucks. Now, as far as air goes in general, so we're going to already stop talking about the turbo, move into the intake side. Now, this is a really nice intake. S&B makes really a great intake. It pulls fresh air from the inner fender well, just like factory. But yet, is this going to cool? Is this going to give you lower EGTs? Probably not. Running a larger intercooler piping. These are factory, but you guys have seen in my previous videos, I've ran, you know, a lot larger intake piping. Did it change anything? Did it lower EGTs? Maybe minutely. For the money you're putting out, I don't know if it's worth it. Just like intake horns. You know, it's a very nice high quality product from the guys over at Pusher. I like it. It, you know, fits in really good with the color scheme and all that. But again, does it lower EGTs? You're not, however much air you can get to the cylinder head, well, you're cylinder head limited. I can't stress that number enough. You know, we only have 12 valves in these engines, and again, these are basically designed to be industrial use or medium duty truck use. So they weren't designed to be turned up and create a whole lot of power. So again, however much air you can get to the intake shelf does not necessarily mean you're going to lower EGTs and get more air into the head. It's just, we're limited by the machining of the head. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the AFC. What can be done there that we can achieve our horsepower goals by just fueling? So obviously, the more boost pressure we can get here in this boost reference line will push on that diaphragm, which will then at that point push the AFC foot, and we'll get more fuel delivery on this side of the AFC housing, which in turn is going to push the rack, which is going to get us, let's say, 19 millimeters of rack travel, with the accompanying of a Mac rack plug, which this video is not going to show it. With the added Mac rack plug, you're going to get 21 millimeters of rack travel. What the hell does all that mean? So basically, the further you can travel the rack, the more fuel you're going to be sending. So with all those combinations and AFC Live, that right there alone will give you tuning and also essentially the fuel delivery to your delivery valves, which is getting you your duration to your injectors, which in turn will get you what you're looking for if everything obviously works out for you. All right, so now we've kind of covered the fuel, the air, and all of that. You know, you have all this power. Well, you have to, at least at that point, to exhaust it somehow. So if you were still somehow running the stock 3-inch downpipe and the stock 3-inch exhaust, that's probably another restriction that you can probably get rid of and free up some horsepower. I'm not going to go ahead and say you're going to sit there and free up EGTs, which some manufacturers will plead and say that all this stuff will do this, but at least it will sound better, and of course you'll free up some horsepower as well, because again, limitations of back pressure. 4-inch to 5-inch, I run 4-inch. I think that's perfectly fine. Most guys run that on these day-to-day driven trucks, but 5-inch if you like to be loud and rowdy. All right guys, so I think we've covered just about everything you need in order to run I would say 450 comfortably. This setup I currently have here is probably more fuel than 450, but again, depending on your setup, your conditions, your budget for your build, you could probably pull 450 to 500 with this setup. So I hope this helps you guys out. If you guys have any questions, DM me on Instagram. My information's right here. And hit me up if you have any questions, or if you're just, you know, in the market for something new, or you want to try something. And as always, all my discount codes will be in the link in the description. And again, we're getting ready to go into race season. Get those trucks built up. Let's get ready to go for the season. And as always, one last final send off. Like, share, subscribe, PPump the world, and I'll see you guys in the next video.